Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kenneth Wesley Mason. That's me.
Good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Kinetic Hour. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for streaming live. For those of you that are streaming live, this is another simulcast. Let me turn this mic up so everyone can hear me loud and clear. This is a simulcast, meaning that I'm streaming live both on Facebook through Zoom and Instagram Live. So it's always fun to bring the Kinetic Hour to both streaming platforms. So that way the message gets out to more people over time. So thank you for tuning in. Go to my YouTube channels. The Kinetic Hour, at the Kinetic Hour on YouTube. Subscribe, click thumbs up, leave your comments, leave your questions. They're always appreciated. And go to my other YouTube channel, which is Kinetic Fit and Wellness Info at Kinetic Fit, both on YouTube. Again, subscribe, click thumbs up, leave your message, or leave your comment, which I guess would be a message. Leave your comment, leave your questions. Again, they're always appreciated. And this is on a post 420 afternoon. Yesterday, many people, including myself, celebrated the unofficial holiday, which is known as 420, a cannabis holiday called 420. And many people around America celebrated in various ways. I went out and, just kind of went out and appreciated the cannabis that's currently growing right now, that I am growing right now and have been growing for the last 7 years now, growing and learning what cannabis is, how it can help the human body, how it can help just society in general, being that it's been federally illegal since the late 1930s. So we're talking about almost a 90-year period that cannabis, a plant, a botanical, has been federally illegal for general or medical use. And so it's created many incarcerations of people that have otherwise wouldn't have been labeled as criminals for merely possessing or having in their possession a piece of a cannabis bud. So now, all these years later, decades later, generations later, in most states now, I think it's close to 35 states that recognize or have made cannabis legal, recreationally, and for medical use or for health purposes. Which is why I'm doing this broadcast today, the day after, because for me, any day is a good day to talk about this specific subject, because it's been a taboo subject for many decades. We're going back to the 1930s when it was first regulated as being federally illegal for usage. But there have been many studies literally all over the world, especially over the last maybe 2 decades, that have, not so much here in America, but abroad in other countries where cannabis research has been funded, mostly privately, but nonetheless funded for legitimate study. And here in America, we have certain prestigious medical journals, one being the New England Journal of Medicine and the National Institute of Health, are now both recognizing the health benefits of cannabis. So, for the sake of this broadcast, I'm going to just go over a few things that have to do with cannabis and maybe clarify a few things or misconceptions that have been made over the generations about cannabis as a plant. We're talking about a plant that's been growing naturally on the planet for hundreds of thousands of years and was actually legal at one time, and hemp had been used for industrial purposes all over the country, right here in America. Hemp, from the stems, the bark, the leaves, everything, all of it was used for industrial purposes. Cannabis. So I'm going to do the best that I can to just kind of shed some light on the health benefits, because there's still a stigma in American society that suggests that cannabis is this horrible drug that has made millions of people become addicted, similar to cocaine and heroin and all of these drugs. Federally, it's still considered a Schedule I narcotic. Federally, it's still recognized as a Schedule I narcotic linked with cocaine, LSD, which is another topic for another day, because even LSD has had some positive research conducted regarding its benefits. But as far as cannabis is concerned, you may hear in mainstream talk or mainstream news that there is no research to back up any kind of social findings of any health benefits of cannabis. Well, and anybody can go look any of this stuff up. There's been many studies conducted on cannabis for many health conditions or illness conditions where cannabis has been used, and the human being over time was made healthy through the use of cannabis. So I'm going to clear up some misconceptions and just do the best I can to give information that many of you can at least consider. Just consider. You don't have to, follow anything, because I'm not the authority figure when it comes to. I'm not the foremost authority figure when it comes to cannabis, or just health matters. Period. I'm not the authority figure. I've been in holistic health. I've been in the holistic health field now for 2 decades. But I've never rendered myself an authority on any health subject or any health matter. I've learned a few things over the years, and I've applied a few things. Actually, I've applied a lot of things over the years. Some I still use to this day, some remedies I still use to this day, and some I don't. Not that they weren't effective, but I just found other things that are more settling and suitable for me. And cannabis is one of those plants or substances, for the sake of this conversation, that for years, since childhood, I'd always been made fearful of cannabis because of back in the 80s, they had what was called the DARE program, spearheaded by former President Ronald Reagan and his wife, Nancy Reagan. And it became this big phenomenon. And by the way, if you can see, I'm wearing a shirt. It's called Don't Panic, It's Organic. The people, Facebook people, probably can't see it too well, so I'll stand up here. And this is a shirt that I got a couple of years back at a cannabis convention in San Bernardino County, because I'm here in Los Angeles. And it was great. It was a great experience going to a convention that literally had anything and everything that is cannabis, from food or food infusions to drinks and wines and you name it. It was great for those that are open to the multiple possibilities that is cannabis sativa and cannabis indica. But there have been multiple health conditions that have been said to have been healed through cannabis. So I'm going to go over a few things and just clear up some things when it comes to cannabis. First, I'm going to preface by just saying that the best way, if not, or a better way, if not the best way to take in cannabis would be in its raw form. Versus the way most of us indulge in cannabis, by lighting a flame to the bud and inhaling the smoke that's released and the THC that is also released when you put the flame to the cannabis bud, meaning the tetrahydrocannabinol that's created or released when you put a flame to the cannabis bud. And all of us should know this by now. Now, from a health position, smoke inhalation may not be the best way to get the best health benefit from cannabis, but it will create a psychoactive effect by way of the THC molecule. And many people have different experiences with THC. Some people say, and I've heard this for years, that cannabis creates paranoia. I've heard this for a long time from many different people, that cannabis, when inhaled through smoking, creates paranoia. And I've heard this for a long time. As opposed to when it's taken in its raw form, does it create paranoia? For many people, the answer is no. I've never experienced paranoia. No more paranoia as if I didn't inhale cannabis or indulge in cannabis. Now, cannabis can be taken in many different ways. Today we have CBD, which is legal in all 50 states. And that's one way. Some people take it through drops or what's called a tincture. Some people take it through lighting the flame to the bud, which is the most common. And some people do it through a wax or dabbing. And other people, some people do the, oh gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue now. It'll come to me. But there's many different ways. And then there's the way that's most health beneficial for people, which is in its raw form. And this includes the leaves, because I use cannabis leaves in my smoothie. Just like I use dandelion flowers in my smoothie. The dark green hue of the cannabis plant is loaded with chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is great for the blood. The chlorophyll is the lifeblood of all plants. Chlorophyll. But as far as health benefits are concerned, cannabis has been proven to heal many different ailments over the years. I'm going to read a few passages. This is from a book that I have in my library. It's called Why Marijuana Should Be Legal by Ed Rosenthal and Steve Cubby with S. Newhall. And it's pretty interesting because in this book right here, and I'm just going to go over a couple of passages within chapter 6 here. DEA Administrative Law Judge Francis L. Young in 1988 said this. This is a law judge for the Drug Enforcement Agency back in 1988. Said, quote, found marijuana, quote, to be, quote, the safest therapeutic substance known to man, end quote, and urges its reclassification and distribution for medical uses. And in the pages right here, I'm just going to go over a few ailments that are pretty common here in American society. Many of these ailments have been rendered by the allopathic medical field to be incurable. You know, we always hear of a certain illness or certain condition, and the standard medical profession claims that there is no cure for this illness. There is no cure for this. There is no cure for that. Anybody that's watched my videos or watched my podcasts or watched old videos of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, know about my stance when it comes to this notion that there is no cure for any illness, because this is what's been conditioned in us. We've been literally thoroughly conditioned to believe that the human body is incapable of healing anything. When we have a disease developed in our body, we're supposed to just accept it and do the best that we can to live with it for the rest of our lives, because allopathic standard medicine has no answers. And we see this over and over and over again, generation after generation. And we keep taking our loved ones to these institutions, knowing what the consequences will be, because we see people time and time again having the same results, whether it's heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and those are the big three here in America. So I'm going to read just a few passages here. Standard allopathic medicine, and nothing against it, because I've interviewed many physicians that have come out of the allopathic medical profession, and they're great, but they also recognize what my perception is of the human body, that the human body is capable of healing. And it's proven every time you cut yourself or get a burn or a wound on the outside. We see healing on the outside. We see it. When you have a cut, your body immediately goes to work to heal you. Blood rushes to the wound, starts to build new skin, or starts to thread the skin back together, builds a scab, or the blood starts to coagulate and builds a scab, or what we call a scab. And then a week later, it falls off and you have brand new skin and you are healed. This is how the human body operates for all 8 billion people on the planet. No one is exempt. No one is exempt from this. So I'm going to just read a few of these medical ailments that cannabis has helped to alleviate. Okay, so the first is the big one here, AIDS. AIDS. We all remember AIDS. Now, back in the late 80s and early 90s, AIDS was plastered over the television just like this virus that just passed, that we had to spend 3 years having it beat over our heads day in and day out, day in and day out. And we know what we're talking about because I've had four YouTube posts or YouTube videos deleted from my YouTube channel for speaking about inoculations or speaking about it in a way that lets people know that inoculations are unnecessary for human health for a number of reasons. And I actually have video of breaking down some of the ingredients that are in. And that's another word that I can't say either on YouTube. I have to say the word inoculation. But nonetheless, when it comes to AIDS, we saw it plastered over the television and radio, just like we saw this pandemic. Same kind of deal. And it was considered a death sentence for most people, a death sentence. And also that medications were created for this virus or this illness or syndrome that has been created for what we've been told through a virus. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Okay? Acquired, which means that it was developed over time. An acquired immune deficiency. Now, why would the immune system be deficient? Let's start asking these questions. Why is the immune system deficient? Could it be because of the lifestyle that one may be living? Could it be that they're not giving the body the energy that it needs to function at its optimal level by giving it the elements of the earth in abundance? Because an immune deficiency, that means that any illness can be considered AIDS, because all we're talking about is an immune deficiency. When we're talking about diabetes, we're talking about the immune system being weak by way of the pancreas not being able to push insulin enough to push all this sugar out of the body, right? The immune system. So an acquired immune deficiency syndrome, meaning that the immune system is weak. It's weak. But that's not to say that it can't be made healthy again. I mean, the common cold and the common flu proves that. I mean, the virus finds its host and multiplies for a while. People take certain remedies, and then a few days or a week later, you're back to your sense of whatever your normalcy is. But this right here, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or what we know as AIDS, says right here, marijuana or cannabis reduces the nausea, vomiting, and loss of appetite caused by both the ailment itself and as a side effect of treatment with AZT and other medicines. And AZT being the most common medicine prescribed to most AIDS or HIV patients, which again, we're talking synthetic medication, synthetics, with the notion that synthetics are helpful for the biological immune system. This is what the conditioning is, that synthetic chemistry made medication is somehow better than what nature has been providing for millions of years. Asthma, something that plagued me all throughout my childhood into my early and mid 20s until I got into natural health in my late 20s. Asthma. Several studies have shown that THC, and I'll bring it over here so I can get into the mic. Several studies have shown that THC acts as a bronchial dilator and reverses bronchial constriction. Although conventional bronchial dilators work faster than marijuana, THC has been shown to last longer and with considerably less risk. Asthma. And asthma can be triggered by a lot of things. Dairy can trigger asthma, or an abundance of mucus. That's what it can render. But asthma, panic or negative thoughts, which goes into paranoia, which I'll get back to because I've been asked about that. Autoimmune diseases, arthritis, and other autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune meaning, by definition of allopathic medicine, meaning that the human body is attacking itself because in the belief that it sees something foreign in the body. Well, the human body is always about protection at all costs, or keeping you alive at all costs. The body is really not attacking itself. It's merely responding to something that isn't supposed to be in the body. And it's doing the best that it can by way of whatever level your immune system is going to use whatever resources that it can to keep you alive, or to keep you functioning at the highest level possible according to your overall energy level. Arthritis, which is an inflammation of your articulars, your joints. In addition to its effectiveness in controlling the pain associated with arthritis, new evidence shows that marijuana is an autoimmune modulator. Now, here's another one. Here's a big one. Cancer.